very, very advanced in providing digital services to local businesses. You're even doing digital billboards, right? In downtown Prescott. I mean, you've got everything going and you offer a wide suite of services. So
That's
I gotta ask this question. If you were to shut down signalsaz.com, would it hurt your revenue? I mean, why put all that effort by maintaining a website that's putting out great news, good news, as you call it, or whatever? Is that part of just the overall brand that makes it easier to bring in some of these deals? Is it, I mean, tell me the philosophy and why
that's
it's, go ahead.
great question. So we're fortunate to have an amazing parent company in the Fane Signature Group.
Okay.
And they basically seeded the town. Bill Fane found the town in 1960, and there was nothing here. And in one man's lifetime, it is now larger than one of the most famous towns in the Southwest. That's Prescott, Arizona. And so we had some billboards and we had some existing infrastructure to lean on to grow Talking Glass Media. But the concept was always to leverage multiple platforms. Signals AZ was just the first. It was the obvious thing to do because we saw so much negativity online and we knew people were going online. COVID, quite frankly, has been a shot in the arm, if you will. No pun intended in that. We saw traffic jump extraordinarily over the past year. We also had some what we call happy accidents in the market. Some competitors went to a subscription-based model, which sent readers our way. Other publications had some things happen that sent even more readers our way. So we're positioned very well. But again, to your point, we've got digital, we have our website, we have our outdoor media, we have our print media, we have our social media, we have our podcast. So with basically one relationship, we can get our advertisers everywhere.
You know, this is funny because I remember in the good old days, you know, pre-internet, it wasn't uncommon for a print shop to have a newsletter or to print out kind of a local, I mean, at least where I lived, a local magazine. But that was not where their meat and potatoes was. It was when providing, you know, services for businesses, but it was kind of like that overarching umbrella. If I read the history on your website, I'm going to try to do this right, just as Colonel Glassford's heliograph of the 1880s atop Glassford Hill in Prescott Valley was a beacon of information, Signals is our modern day beacon sharing information and celebrating, which is now both the safest and fastest growing region in northern Arizona. You find it, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, having that good news website is kind of like your brand to the community, but you provide all these other services around it. Am I getting that straight?
It's exactly correct. It's definitely our differentiator. We are the only good news website that I am personally aware of in the region. We took that stance on day one when I sat down with Brad Fane, my CEO, and he said, I want only good news. You know, solutions don't come out of negativity. Forward progress doesn't come out of negativity. So we're a different animal. There's no doubt about it. I'm not going to pretend and say that I'm classically trained in journalism.
No.
But what I do know as a business leader or a business builder is growth comes through positivity and collaboration. And quite frankly, that's what we're about. If you look at our magazine, if you look at our website, it's all positive. It's about our magazine, super smart. It's about solutions. It's about information. It's not, we say, let's stay away from fluff and let's stay smart and beautiful for our magazine on TG Magazine. So it's a philosophy as much as it is a business.
Well, let's dive into some of that, because right now there's likely a hard news journalistic editor schooled with a degree, you know, going through all the courses and classes, reads Neiman, attends Pointer workshops, who's now screaming as he's on the treadmill listening to this, you're not a journalist, you're not a journalist, you're a propaganda person. Let's explore this a little bit more. And I love, this is great, because you do publish two magazines. One's called TG. I assume the TG is Talking Glass, right?
Yep.
So you used your own brand on the magazine, but then you have Prescott Valley. But in that headline, I'm looking at it right now. I mean, because I did a lot of research. I have a copy of the cover. It's Prescott Valley, and then you have Talking Glass Magazine. So you're really pushing this TG brand. Am I right in the products that you're putting out?
It's who we are. So whether it's New York Post pushing who they are, or if it's the Los Angeles Times pushing, this is who we are. And I love the conversation about the hardline journalists, that they can come work with us anytime they want. I respect what they do. We choose simply to do something different. We're not throwing a slant or any shade to our cohorts that are in the legacy or the traditional news business. We're simply choosing not to publish stuff like rapes, murders, and drug arrests. Our people and our readers up here want to know what's going on for events. This is a highly connected community, and that's a big part of it. If they want to get what's going on, other things in the world, where there's car crashes, they can go somewhere else, and they do. We analyze where they come from and where they go when they come onto our site, when they leave.
All right.
And those news sites are very important. But
Having labels for news sites now is difficult. I mean, because I should say, the team here, when I inherited EMP about a year and a half ago, I took on this thing called the data book, where we were, this Bible that gets printed for the last 80 years that supposedly puts every single print publication or news publication into categories, a weekly versus a daily versus an alternative. I got a newspaper here, a traditional newspaper in Tampa Bay that considers itself a daily newspaper, only publishes twice a week now. Do you follow? But it has a flip version that they throw online.
Sure.
You could be an alternative weekly, because alternatives tend to not do it bleeds, it leads. Do you follow? And they tend to be very event-based, bar-based, entertainment-based, where to go, what to do. And in an alternative publication, I always define it that the ads are just as valuable as the content. Do you follow? I mean, in the sense that, but you're not alternative in that sense. You're a website that grows by leaps and bounds, that's very event-based. Do you lean left or right with any of your news, any of your coverage?
Ooh, good question. Good question. So we just went through that exercise. We had some very candid discussions about politics, because we had a big election come up here. As you know, Arizona is historically very, very conservative and right-leaning, if you guys will. And that's changing, as is our entire country, right? There's a lot of debate. We were going back and forth on whether to take political ads on this last political season.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. But if we take from one side, we have to take from all. And that was our philosophy. So did we take political ads last season? Yep. But we would take both sides. It doesn't matter. We're not a slate for any one party. What's interesting about that, though, is because we are objective, or we're very clear on only good news, the moment we put up our first paid advertisement for a candidate, we had advertisers that were voicing some very strong opinions because they thought we were taking a stance. The reality is we only had a few candidates. Again, it's a small town, so there's only a few candidates, but we had a few candidates advertise with us, and they were all from one party. None of the other people from the other parties contacted us. And so
I got to ask, and I'm sorry, was it Democrat or Republican?
What's that?
Which party was that?
Republicans.
Seriously, the Good News site, and you got the Republican-backed dollars. They advertised with you. Interesting.
Right.
And that was on the site as well as in the magazines as well?
Magazine, no, because the magazine really wasn't in existence during that political period, if you will. Now we have another cycle coming up for our town council, for Prescott City Council. And so it's going to be interesting to see, because there is some interest in both our magazine and our website. What I was getting to, though, was, since only one side of the fence, if you will, and I'm not political, so I don't speak the regular jargon, because one side of the fence advertised with us, we had advertisers complaining that we were taking sides when they were clearly marked paid placement, sponsored by. So what we came up with is this may be too sensitive of an issue, and maybe we stay away from political ads because it's temporary revenue. It's not that much. We're still kind of going through it because of the heat we took, because it's a very emotional time on all fronts. So it was a very interesting learning experience for us. And here we are completely objective. We are completely in the middle, and we're really more about events and what's going on in the community. So it's a challenging to say, do we take more political ads?